War is often measured in statistics: casualties, territory gained, missiles launched, dollars spent. Yet the true human cost can't be captured on a spreadsheet. It's found in the silence after a firefight, in letters that never reach home, in the quiet moments when a soldier sits alone and hears the echoes of decisions made in the chaos of duty. A soldier is both witness and participant, trained to follow orders, equipped with instruments of destruction, and expected to act with brutal efficiency. They live where conscience and duty collide. The battlefield is a place where moral clarity is a luxury, and the weight of a single choice can haunt a person for a lifetime. Across decades and conflicts, countless soldiers have faced the same question: am I doing what is right? Some answer with certainty, others with doubt, and many never find an answer at all. Their stories reveal not the grandeur of strategy, but the intimacy of responsibility. Picture this: a young private in Vietnam walking through rice paddies at dawn. His orders say that any village suspected of harboring enemy forces is a potential target. But he sees children playing, farmers tending their fields, women carrying water. He knows these are not soldiers. And yet, he's expected to act as if the line between innocence and guilt is crystal clear. Every day becomes a negotiation with his conscience, to obey, to resist, or simply to survive with his soul intact. Years later, in the urban sprawl of Iraq, soldiers faced another kind of moral tension. The lines were even blurrier. Sniper fire could come from any rooftop apartment. Insurgents could be your neighbor, a shopkeeper, someone who just smiled at you. Decisions had to be instantaneous, but the consequences would last forever. Every life spared or lost weighed on the mind. Letters home spoke of routines and survival, rarely mentioning the fear or guilt. But in the quiet of night, under alien skies, soldiers confronted their own reflections, questioning not just the enemy's actions, but their own. This internal struggle, this wound of the soul, has a name: moral injury. It's what happens when you're forced to do something that violates your deepest ethical beliefs. Unlike a physical wound, you can't see it, but the scars are profound. Guilt, shame, depression, and a deep questioning of your own humanity can persist long after the battlefield is left behind. These echoes follow soldiers into civilian life, into their families, into their careers. A community feels the ripple effect, and generations inherit the memory. But it's crucial to understand the complexity here. Soldiers are not villains or saints by default. They are human beings placed in the most extraordinary and impossible circumstances. The very machine of war is designed to diminish reflection and amplify obedience. Survival often demands compliance. Questioning orders can get you punished or dismissed. But a conscience doesn't obey a hierarchy. It persists quietly and stubbornly, like an ember that can't be extinguished. Oral histories are filled with these moments. A Marine in Afghanistan recalls entering a village and seeing a small child caught in the crossfire. The mission demanded they keep moving. His commander's orders demanded efficiency. The child miraculously survived, but that image remained, a permanent marker of the fragile line between what is right and what is expedient. A medic recounts the frantic rush to treat the wounded, knowing every second could mean life or death, but also that every action might inadvertently harm someone else. A pilot describes the decision to release a payload, guided by intelligence and probability, yet haunted by the knowledge that real people with real lives inhabit those coordinates on his screen. Conscience, you see, isn't some abstract philosophical concept. It's intensely practical. It exists in the split second before pulling a trigger, in the quick calculation of risk, in the recognition of a human face among a sea of targets. It cannot be legislated away, trained out of someone, or automated. It must be acknowledged, wrestled with, and carried. Even in peacetime, soldiers live with this moral residue. Reunions are often tinged with unspoken questions. Veterans gather in silence, as if speaking aloud would awaken memories too heavy to bear. Over and over, they describe the same tension, the necessity of duty versus the imperatives of conscience. Orders may dictate an action, but the conscience is the final judge. And that judgment is relentless, impartial, and enduring. Sometimes soldiers act against orders, motivated by morality. These acts can prevent catastrophes, save lives, or avert injustice. In other cases, they invite punishment and alienation. The system that trains obedience doesn't often reward an active conscience. Yet history is filled with moments where individual ethical courage mitigated systemic violence, reminding us that the moral compass of a soldier is never entirely suppressed. Modern technology has changed the battlefield, but not the burden. A drone operator sitting thousands of miles away still faces the same questions. Is the target a combatant? Is this amount of collateral damage acceptable? Who bears responsibility when a civilian life is lost? Their decisions are mediated through screens, but their conscience is immediate. Distance does not diminish ethical deliberation. The human mind cannot separate empathy from action, even when that action is carried out by a machine. For many veterans, the homecoming is another kind of battle. The world they return to is often jarring, filled with misunderstanding. Civilians can't always comprehend the moral maze soldiers have navigated. They see medals or statistics, not the sleepless nights haunted by choices made in a split second. The weight of conscience doesn't vanish when the fighting stops. It follows like a shadow into every part of life. Societies have tried to help. Therapy, counseling, and open discourse are all vital. But success is often partial, because a moral injury is deeply personal. No program can undo participation in an act you perceive as wrong. But simply acknowledging the experience, validating the ethical struggle, that itself is a form of healing. It is a recognition that soldiers are not just instruments of policy, but human beings capable of reflection, remorse, and profound moral judgment. Ultimately, the stories of soldiers reveal a consistent theme. They don't just act, they process, reflect, and remember. A single choice once made cannot be unmade. It persists, shaping identity, memory, and one's entire moral perception. The battlefield isn't just a place on a map. It's a crucible for the conscience. Governments and leaders may devise strategy, but the enactment of that policy falls to those who hold the weapons and confront the immediate consequences. Every mission becomes a private negotiation with conscience. This negotiation is psychologically and emotionally shattering. Ignoring this burden perpetuates trauma and misunderstanding. We must listen to veterans' voices, not just as testimony, but as a guide to understanding the true ethical dimensions of war. In the most technologically advanced militaries, the soldier remains the ultimate moral agent. No algorithm can feel remorse. No rule of engagement can replace human judgment. No amount of distance can insulate us from empathy. Perhaps the most sobering lesson is that these internal struggles are invisible to the outside world. The media reports on battles, the government announces objectives, but the private moral negotiation of the soldier remains unseen. Yet it is here, in the quiet pause before action, in the sleepless nights after, that the true cost of war is recorded. The battlefield is not just geographical, it's existential. By acknowledging these voices, perhaps society can learn, not necessarily to prevent all conflict, that may be an impossible dream, but to understand that every decision carries weight, every action reverberates through a human conscience, and every life affected is both a witness and a testimony. The true legacy of war is written in the minds of those who lived it, in the enduring question of how one can act rightly when circumstances demand everything but. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the human experience. Stay thoughtful,